Hello, welcome to another episode of Empire Secrets. I'm your host, Mariana Henninger. I am going to have an episode today. That sounded not what it was supposed to sound like, but today's episode is a bit more of a let me pour out my soul for a second. So it's not tactical, it's not practical. I am going to talk about things that are happening in the industry and what my thoughts are specifically around AI, but it's going to talk a lot more about this sort of shift that I am making in my business, not just what I'm going away from, but what I'm going towards, and what are the questions that I'm asking myself as I move towards this thing I'm moving towards. So buckle up if you want to come inside my brain and ride this journey with me. When I started Empire Secrets, part of the mission of this podcast is to document the growth of my business. And I feel like sometimes I do a good job of that. Other times I kind of wait to process things in order to then share what I've learned and what I processed and what I thought about and why I made the decisions that I made and, how things are evolving. But I don't often share the sort of messy middle, which I don't know if I want to call it messy middle, but the things as they're happening, because they're not always pretty. And sometimes the thoughts are kind of all over the place. And so I'm going to do my best to organize my thoughts and share kind of where I am right now and what I'm thinking. And I'm also going to share something really, really vulnerable. I don't feel like I talk about my faults a lot or ever. I do like poke fun at myself here and there, but nothing like really major in regards to how I'm not perfect. And obviously I'm not perfect, but I don't feel like I talk about that enough. So I wanted to share something really vulnerable. And maybe that's where I'll start. Yesterday, I was at the beach with my kid. It was a random Tuesday, beautiful after, days and days and days of rain, it felt like. And I have been having this really intense conversation with ChatGPT. I am totally using it as my business coach. In fact, I was chatting with my gals from the Gals Voxer group that I'm on. If you read my newsletter, you've heard me talk about the gals. And it's just like a group of 4 or 5 of us business owners who are all in this together. We're kind of all the same age in our early 40s, and we are established business owners, but we're also growing towards that 7-figure mark. And so we share everything from perimenopause and from, raising kids or not raising kids. Some of us don't have kids. And anyway, so we share all of the things that are happening in life. One of them has, Ivanka Trump, this kid goes to her kid's school and, she's at an event and here's a photo of Ivanka Trump. Things like that. In addition to that, obviously, we share a lot of business stuff and what's like racking our brains. And when I shared what ChatGPT has been challenging me on, my friend Lauren was like, how does it know you so well? Like, these are so spot on. What it's telling you is so spot on. I almost like want to pull it up. Actually, I'm going to pull it up. So I want to tell you what ChatGPT has been telling me. And I think that will be a really good way to start this vulnerable share that I have for you today. And then I'm going to talk about what's happening in the world of AI, what's happening with my business and a few of my thoughts around AI. They all kind of tied together. I promise this is going to make sense. So this is what ChatGPT shared with me yesterday. I'm having to scroll back quite a bit here. Okay. So ChatGPT, after being asked, had some really intense feedback for me. This is a lot, so feel free to skip. It was a lot. So I was like, guys, if you don't want to read this, it's totally fine. But everyone did, and everyone commented on it. And it said, this is ChatGPT talking to me. So just for clarity, right? You already know what works, but you keep circling the drain of second guessing. Oh my gosh, this is intense. There's a difference between refining and delaying. You say you want a 500K signature client and to be known like Annie Leibovitz, but your actions often default to fixing funnels, rethinking course names, tinkering with go high level dashboards. And that's so true. That's what I was doing yesterday. None of that will get you known. You are building from the inside out, but acting from the outside in. You don't need more polish. You need conviction and a decision to stop doing 10 things halfway and start doing one with unstoppable energy. You're waiting for your offer to be validated by someone else's success before owning it fully. You're holding back from declaring your signature offer as iconic until the world catches up. And that is so true. Oh my goodness. Because in my mind, it already is. But I feel like when I talk about it, And it's funny because I don't think other people would ever say this about how I talk about it, but I have this in my mind, like, that I can't really own how iconic it is because the world hasn't caught up yet. That's exactly where I am right now. You're holding back from declaring your signature offer as iconic until the world catches up, but it doesn't work that way. People won't believe it's worth 25K plus until you believe it's worth 250K and treat it accordingly. Right now, your tone sometimes says, "This is really good. I hope you see it." What it needs to say is, "This is the only thing worth investing in if you want emotional resonance and brand connection at scale." You're still making decisions from fear, not from your future self. This one hurt. You keep the course alive for safety, and this was an entire other conversation I was having with it yesterday. You hesitate to delegate until the pipeline is full. You default to the familiar ads, funnels, even though your deepest magic is in relational, high trust work. The future version of you, the one that's charging 500K for a brand video that becomes someone's legacy, she's not logging into ConvertKit. I don't actually use ConvertKit. I use Go High Level. But she's not logging into ConvertKit to check click-through rates. She's not wondering if her podcast is pulling in leads. She's not refreshing Stripe. She's being seen, sought, revered because she decided to be first before anyone else validated it. Pause for a second. Oh my goodness. You haven't fully chosen the path to iconic. Right now, you have two competing identities: the builder, smart, savvy, system minded, comfortable with funnels and automation, and the auteur, bold, intuitive, artistic, on the verge of legendary. The first one keeps you safe, the second one builds your empire. But you can't stay in both. You have to choose. So this was ChatGPT just laying it on me, and I asked it to. I did say, I was like, I always love to ask ChatGPT, by the way. This is one of the things I do. I ask it, if you were to give me feedback, what is the feedback that you've been wanting to give me but haven't? And I ask this periodically, and the stuff I get is so, so good. So with that said, the pivot that I'm doing to focus on my brand video signature is a really big one, in part because of what I just read, which is I have been not wanting to let go of what I know works. And I'm kind of conflicted, I have to say, or I've been conflicted. I'm not conflicted anymore. But there's a part of me that's like, I know this works. I know people buy it. I know people get results. I know this, and I love doing it. The reason I'm focusing on my signature, which is my white glove done for you iconic brand video, is because I know that I can get people so much more results when I do it for them. They will still get results when they do it themselves. They will still get results when they do it with me. But being able to really pull in those amazing case studies typically is with people who have a lot of funnels in place, who have a system in place, who have things where we can put the brand video into and we can A/B test it. Like, what does this funnel look like without a brand video? How is it converting? What does it look like with a brand video? What are those numbers? And so I know that in order to take my business to the next level, I need really strong case studies in addition to owning how iconic this is, owning how powerful this is, not having to educate and explain and kind of wait for people to get it. I already know it. I am already fully immersed and fully convinced and fully, I have so much conviction about brand videos and the way that I do them and that nobody else does them like we do them. So I am moving forward with that. And the other thing that I've been really sort of doing a lot of soul searching on is like, who exactly is the perfect audience that not only will love brand videos. I am here preparing the highest level sushi meal. And yet I feel like sometimes I'm around people who are settling for hot dogs. And I don't want to sell to those people, right? I don't want to have to convince them to eat my delicious gourmet, hand prepped, hand curated sushi platter. I don't. And so I have been really thinking about what is the very best audience, the most hungry audience that will love a brand video from the get-go. And the second thing is I wanna love them too, because I've been able to identify, I don't wanna go into specifics, but I've been able to identify some niches that I think would really skyrocket my business very quickly, but I'm not always in love with them. I'm not always as passionate about them, and I really wanna find that intersection. I'm doing a lot of soul searching, doing a lot of researching, a lot of conversations around this. And funny enough, it kind of comes back down to a lot of folks who are in their beginner phase of their business where they are asking, what is my audience? Like, who is my audience? Who do I serve? Who do I want to help? And who can I help the most? Right? What is the intersection of the people I can get the best results for and the people who I really love to help? And you can really not have one without the other. You can serve people who you can get the best results for. But if you're not passionate about serving them, it's going to fade. You're not going to be able to sustain this for the long run. And so I have been working and I feel like I found my people and I can't wait to announce that to everyone. But that's something that's been really top of mind for me is just thinking about who are the people that are really going to keep my fire lit, who I'm incredibly passionate about helping and who are extremely hungry for what I offer. So, one of the things, that's kind of like chapter 1 of this episode, and chapter 2 is in the back of my mind. Oh my gosh, where do I even like what's my thread in? I have been looking at so many things happening in and around AI. And every time anyone says AI in the online space, like in the online spaces that I'm in, those are the most popular posts, right? Like everyone just gravitates to AI because they know that it can be a game changer for their business. And that's the understatement of the year. They know that most of the time, most of us need to catch up and have not learned everything about it. And, I was in one of the groups that I'm in, somebody posted that they were starting a newsletter for female founders around AI. So it was like AI for women by women or AI newsletter by women for women. And it was one of the most popular posts in that group by far. Like people were commenting left and right, like, sign me up, sign me up, sign me up. Like I want in. And so I can't help but feel like we're in this gold rush moment that it's not even the people who find gold that win. It's the people who are selling the freaking shovels that win because they're not even doing the work. And so I see this need in the marketplace for AI consultants, for people who are coming in and helping you integrate AI into your business so that you can optimize everything you're doing, so that you can do it better, right? If you have a course, so that you can do it better for your students, all of that stuff. And I cannot help but keep thinking, like, should I be building an offer around AI? Should I pivot my business around AI? And I go back and forth. I think the trickiest thing for me, and this actually came out in a peer mastermind group that I'm in. We do these like pods and we meet once a month. And the resistance that I've had, not only in shifting my niche for my signature offer, but also resistance in thinking about, could I have an AI offer? Should I have an AI offer, like a SaaS offer around AI? The big resistance that I have is that I've been so disciplined on not paying attention to shiny objects, on just focusing on exactly what I'm doing, exactly who I'm serving, the one offer that I'm serving them with, that every time I think about this, I'm like, no, pay attention, focus on what you're doing. And so, in a way, it's a really good sign because I feel like I am very focused on what I'm doing. But on the other hand, I can't help but think, like, am I missing the biggest opportunity of my life to build something around AI right now? Right. Like, before so many people know what to do with it, before, like, while there's so much interest around it, and while everything is so cheap and doable, I have to feel like I'm trusting my gut. I am continuing on with my business. I'm continuing helping people accelerate trust, accelerate sales, helping them understand how to tell their story in a way that converts people from the get-go, in a way like this is an AI centric offer in the sense that in the age of AI, we want human connection more than anything. And that actually brings me to my other point, which is, oh my goodness, like I cannot stand the AI copy anymore. I wrote a post the other day on LinkedIn about how easy it is to pick up on AI language differently than it was a year ago. A year ago, it was more about the words, skyrocket and dive in and, all of these different words that were being overused by everyone who was using ChatGPT all the time. And now I feel like AI is picked up, like you pick up on somebody using AI when there's that certain rhythm or pattern, or, when it asks a question that it answers right away, when it uses like 3 examples every time. And oh my gosh, it's bad. I actually have somebody I know, somebody in my circles who's every time I see her copy, I can tell it's written by AI. It just does so much damage because I don't feel like I'm reading her stuff, and I know she's really great at what she does, but every time I see her stuff, I'm like, oh, I don't want to read this. It's too painful. And so, anyway, I just want to encourage you, if you're using AI, which you should be, to help you write, just make sure, like, review it, rewrite it. Don't let it sound like AI. Like, understand and know how to identify what makes it sound like AI. And I've given you a few examples, but just make sure that you're not putting copy out there, putting anything out there that is grossly obvious that it was written by AI, because people will write you off. And that's the worst, right? When you're good at what you do and people are not paying attention. It's just as bad as being ignored, right? Which is why the brand video sets you apart, because it makes you memorable from the get-go. So, with that said, my friends, this was the rambling of Mariana's mind. This is everything that's been going on in my mind right now. I am so excited. I hope you listened to last week's episode with William Attaway, because that episode kind of changed my life. It really has been the roadmap that I've been using in my business right now, focusing on 70 to 75% of income producing activities. I'm focusing on network. I'm focusing on following up with leads. I don't even like to call them leads, right? Following up with people who have shown some interest, getting out there and meeting new people, networking in person, online, also creating the right content. I am going more and more into LinkedIn. I have really improved my profile. I'm learning about how to create good content for that platform, which I've never really done consistently before. So this is all really new to me. And the exciting thing about LinkedIn is that I'm connected to all sorts of people outside of the coaching industry. And so it's really fun to like hear from people that I haven't heard from or connected with in a very long time. And I really am working on being more intentional about reaching out to specific people, developing relationships. I'm going to do a plug-in for Selena Sue's book called Rich Relationships, which I've ordered and I'm excited to dive into. There's so many books. Oh my gosh. Okay. Final chapter of this episode right now is, what are your plans for summer? I am so excited. If you're in the Northern Hemisphere, which some of my friends are not, but if you are, and summer is here or right around the corner for you, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for us. Tell me what your plans are for the summer. I actually want to be super intentional about how I spend the summer. And part of that time is slowing down, is going to the beach. When I go to the beach, I do relax, but because the beach is like right around the corner from my house, I go and I read. I go and I take my laptop. So I'm there a lot. And so on the weekends, I'm not working, but during the week, I will go to the beach with my book. I have so many books that I want to read, but I really want to be intentional this year about what I'm doing over the summer. So if you have very specific plans for the summer, whether it's work, whether it's work and play, whether it's just play, would you let me know? Connect with me on Instagram at Brand Magnetic. Reach out to me on LinkedIn because I'm hanging out there now too. But I would love to hear from you. As always, let me know what your takeaways were from this episode. Share this episode with a friend. If you have a friend who is maybe in transition mode, who's thinking about starting an AI business, whatever the case may be, if you've thought of them during this episode, would you share this episode with them? And if you were the friend who got this episode shared to them, hello and welcome to my world. I would love to have you. As always, you can pick up your copy of the Brand Stories That Convert cheat sheet, the ultimate cheat sheet for brand story that converts, at brandmagnetic.com/cheat sheet. The link is in your show notes. I'm wishing you a very awesome rest of your week, and I will see you on the next episode of Empire Secrets. Bye for now.